You know, recording this series has made me realise that I don't really have an intro to say at the start of videos. You know, like Wolsey has his whoa, and Tried has his hi, hello, hi, and jschlatt has his whatever. But me, I don't really have anything to say. And that honestly might be what my channel's missing, but I have a feeling if I try and make one up right now, it's just not going to catch on. So yeah, this is the intro you're getting. So we're building the Space Gauntlet entry again today.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
I'm a man of my word, this is the second weekly video that you guys are going to be receiving. That is the wrong level. Hold on one sec. What I think I'd like to do today is focus on the ship part up here where the gameplay actually starts getting slightly interesting and I might be able to do some more conventional decoration. I do have some pretty big plans for the opening section down here, but I won't reveal too much of that just yet. Might involve you guys though, that's all I'll say. So what I think I might do now is just pull up the document that I was referencing last episode. And I can work on this part based on the notes that I have written here. So what I have written here is a peaceful flying section, cool pulsing effect in the background with paralleling, okay, with paralleling stars, avoiding asteroids and metal structures. As the song glitches into the transition, the screen glitches and the camera zooms out, everything starts going crazy until the player suddenly emerges into a new setting. Alright, I reckon I can work with that. So the main thing to bear in mind with this section is that you are flying through space. That's the effect that I really want to try and make here. I know a lot of people have gotten very good at making space backgrounds, and honestly I don't even want to try to get to the level of detail that they're achieving. What I want to make is relatively simple, I think, just a multi-layered background of flashing stars. I don't think it should really be too difficult, and all I want it to do is give like a depth effect. It doesn't need to necessarily look realistic or incredibly detailed. So the plan is for the transition upwards into the sky from the first part, and the transition into the ship part to look really seamless. What I want to happen is for the player to rise all the way up and to see the starry background, and then the camera is instantly transported right here, and the background is exactly the same. I want it to look seamless. Because if there's one thing I've learnt about building in GD 2.2 is that you want to make things as simple as possible. You want to do them in the simplest way, even if it's technically the stupidest way. And in that case, it means a teleportation, which might mess things up. But if I do it right, I think this could look pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is start off by, So what I think I'm going to do is place down a start position so that I can figure out where the player is going to be and how the camera edges are going to work so that I can make a background. Let's put down the guide trigger. That looks about right, I think. And then what we can do is give this guide trigger a new group and make it follow the player. Okay, that is a little bit confusing. Okay, this is confusing me a little bit. I've got the edge trigger here, and it's showing that the, and it's actually cutting off the text here, but apparently this is in frame. Oh, 2.2. You and your bloody camera controls are going to be the death of me one day. Let me just try and see what this looks like without a start position and actually figure out where the player's going to be. So this is the frame. This is where the player will be, and this is about where the edge of the camera is. So let's place this down. I think that ought to be about right. I'll make this group 70 and make this lock to the player about here. I reckon that should just about do it. You have no idea how much time I'm going to be wasting by not using start positions, but I guess that's just the reality of the GD editor. See, once again, look at that. It makes absolutely no sense. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind, I'm just stupid. Turns out the object here is the center of the camera. Wow, who'd have thought? And this line down here represents the exposition of the player. So if I just half space that, that should be about accurate. You know, I wonder how much I would benefit from actually just reading the 2.2 editor guide. Okay, so now we know that this is the frame that we'll be working with. So now I can start building a, what did I write in the notes? Paralleling? I think by that I mean parallax background of stars. So yeah, let's start. I'm going to go on to layer 10, because that seems like an appropriate layer for the background. I think I want to choose an animated object just because it's much easier to do that than to create my own animations. What I really want is for something that's sort of like subtly tints. Something that looks like this, minus most of the animation. You know, come to think of it, there's probably a way to do this just using a single particle object, right? I think I've seen jschlatt use the particle object to like make an insane randomized background that just looks incredible. So maybe I can mess around with this and try and make a star background. Okay, I don't think I'm even going to bother trying to figure this out myself. Let me just pull up YouTube real quick and see what jschlatt did. Let me find this video by jschlatt. Ah, yes, I think it was this. Guess this makes me a reaction YouTuber now.
Place down a particle trigger and change max particle duration and lifetime to 999, emission to 200, and everything the visual to 0. Set start size and end size to the same value with in 0 variation tab. You can use additive, object color and uniform color. Select however you like texture you want. Go wild and test different textures. Lastly, put the trigger in group 1. Next, click more.
Do I really want to do this? Is this really going to be worth my time? Oh, goodness me. I didn't want the background to take this long. I wanted to actually start decorating the part. I can already tell this is just going to be a minefield of troubleshooting and horrible mistakes on my end. You know what? Considering I want the backgrounds to move and sort of parallax with each other, I don't think I'm going to do this. I think I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned, boring way. Back to it. Back to it. Alright, in short, fuck the particle trigger. I just can't be bothered, frankly. I might use it to make the pulsing object that I want to have in the sort of semi-background, but for the stars themselves, I'm afraid I'm just going to have to resort to ordinary objects. Alright, I do like this texture quite a lot. I think it could look good for some of the closer stars. And then maybe I could use something like this and scale it down for the more distant stars, and... oh wait, never mind. Wait, this is literally perfect. Okay. Alright, so I think these are the objects that I'm going to make use of primarily, and I've just had a bit of a stroke. What if we use the particle triggers? Hear me out. We use the particle triggers to have just one particle. Don't make it move that much, but we just want it to sort of rotate randomly using these different textures. So we'll make the speed 0, angle just be 0, pos via x we make 0, then we just make the duration infinite and the lifetime. Wait, can I do -1 for the lifetime? Brilliant. So we have this object here. And, okay, that's a bit strange. So maybe the end size we can, like, change it a little bit? Okay, so I don't want the lifetime to be infinite. I want it to be about 1 second, or we can change that. And essentially, all I want to change is maybe the end scale. So it looks like the stars are kind of brightening or dimming or something. Yeah, I like that. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so I want the end spin to be, like, a random selection between 30 degrees. Okay, yeah, I like that, actually. I like that a lot. If I disable the, oh, where is it? Yeah, if I disable that, it just looks like a sort of glinting star. Okay, cool. Yeah, I really like that, actually. It's only one object as well. You know, except for the fact that I'm going to have to do this for about 1 million of these. So yeah, it's going to be a very well-optimized level, this one. So let's duplicate that and make it a bit smaller by default. So maybe like 30 and 25. And we can also change the texture to be, I don't know, this. I reckon we can make the scaling effect a little bit less obvious as well, because these are very far in the distance. They shouldn't be moving as much. Alright, I like that. So we have the near star and the sort of distant star. Maybe we can even make this a bit grayer so it looks like it's super far away. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And for the sort of middle ground star, I can use... Okay, you know what? Honestly, I think that one works better for the small one. So let me just fix that. Then I can use the slightly bigger one here and also make it a brighter grey. I think I really need to dial back on this scaling effect because it is a little bit obnoxious, just a bit. I think what I'm going to do is move them all to a different layer. I think I'm going to start with the middle star. That's going to be the most prevalent one. So I'll move that over to layer 11. And I think what I might do is just start moving this around and duplicating it everywhere. This is probably the laziest and least strategic way of making a background. Right, that's about good. Right, so I'll put this big star on layer 12, and then I'll just go back to the main layer and put this around everywhere as well. This is either going to look pretty cool or pretty stupid. Alright, and finally, we can just go around and fill up all of the space with this tiny little star. This one really is a space filler. Oh, I actually kind of like that, having the two stars really close to each other. It's like supernova's about to happen. Now remember, these are all going to be crossing each other over as well, so I think the parallax effect might really bring it all together. Is that a little bit too barren? I feel like there's still a lot of empty space. I want it to look kind of like caked with stars, if you know what I mean. Right, I'm gonna go through and duplicate a few more of these large stars and maybe place them around in places on their layer where they're not as prevalent. Nah, it's a bit excessive. Fuck that. In reality, we probably just need more of these small star objects. Maybe I can just flip them on the x-axis. Oh yeah. Like, immediately that looks way, way better. But instead of doing that, I think I'm just going to strategically place them around in empty space. Okay. You know what? I think I'm happy with that for now. Let me just give this a play in the editor to see if it looks alright. So what I'm going to do now is select each of these layers and assign them a different group so that we can make them move at relative speeds to the player. So a really cool feature that Rob added is the modifier function for move commands. I can just take this move trigger, which is locked to the player's x-axis, and just modify the movement to, like, I don't know, 0.9. And then as we move to the layers that are meant to be further back, we just make the modification closer and closer to 1 because of, like, I don't know, like depth perception and direction and crap that I don't know how to explain. So I'm going to play that and see if this doesn't look like shite. Okay, so we're moving up, and... Oh, that's really cool, actually. The movements definitely need to be a bit slower, but otherwise, I don't mind it. Oh, wait, no, I've made a mistake, I've just realized. I need to swap around these groups. I accidentally assigned the slowest movement to the closest stars. All right, let's give this a look. That is perfect. God, that's cool. Okay. Great, I'm liking that very much. Very, very, very much. Maybe the stars could be a little bit smaller, but you know, that's a future me problem. So, what I'm gonna do now is select all of them and give them, I think, group 70, so they just stay locked to the player's normal x-axis. Then what I'm gonna do is move these special triggers over to where the part starts, because the idea is that I wanna make it look like the player isn't moving here, hence why I have the player invisible. And then what I wanna do is have them sort of flash into the ship, and this jump pad here will be like, I don't know, a particle effect that sort of like shoots into where the jump pad is, and that launches the player up. And then the whole part will flash in and the stars will start moving and you'll get the illusion of motion. So right above this BPM trigger, I'm just going to place these movements, and I'm going to have to make group 70 stop after a few seconds. It cannot extend for infinity. Now I'm just going to, I think, delete this just for a second and see if this works. Yep, I like that. Oh, that's cool. Okay, it's gonna look really weird right now because the objects in the foreground are still moving towards the player. But once I make it look like nothing is actually moving, that transition is going to be fire, I'm telling you. Alright, so, some shell of a background that I can improve on a little bit later, but looks good enough for now. Done. Excellent. Okay, so now, I guess I can move on to actually designing this part here. Alright, so the first thing I want to make is that aforementioned particle effect with this jump pad. And for that, I think I'm going to use, well, obviously, a particle trigger. And also, I think keyframes, because that's going to be, I think that's going to be the best way that I can make a smooth looking animation. Alright, so for this particle, we're going to want the start size to be quite large, and the angle to, going to want an angle of 270 degrees, a pos_var_x of, I think, 0. Let's do 0 with some variations. The idea is that it's like, I don't know, a flying magical entity that just spawns in a jump pad. I'm just trying to make cool looking things here. I don't understand my ideas any better than you do. So, fade out is going to be imperative, and probably add an end spin as well of, I don't know, 45 degrees. And I'm going to want these to be colored red, and then maybe transition into like an orange. I think I'll just use these basic square objects for the main particle, and then on top of that, I want to add something similar, but it's like sort of bright white little stars. Add a little bit of extra glue. I think I'll extend the lifetime of these and have a few fewer particles. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. Maybe the position variance can be a little bit greater as well. Okay, come to think of it, when you move it around like this, the particles are going to look very weak. So I think I'm going to want to increase the maximum particles. Yeah, that's more what I'm looking for. Okay. This fucking cockatoo, shut up. Holy moly, that is trippy. Okay, I really like that with a very small amount of negative Y gravity, where it sort of like tumbles down like that. Oh, that's cool. So now if I make this one relative as well, it might look a bit cooler if there was some more variation in the start size. Oh, that looks so cool. I love how the fire trail drops down, but the stars rise up. Oh, that's sick as fuck. Now all I think that's missing is, of course, a little bit of glow. That makes everything better. All right, so this is the particle that I'm working with here, and I think it looks pretty cool, if I'm being honest. I think what I want to do is just scale the whole thing up a little bit, so it looks a bit more dramatic when it shoots into this scaled jump pad here. Maybe not quite that much. Alright, so we have this object here now, which we can move around like this. It looks cool. Now we just need to animate this using keyframes. Now I have very limited experience with keyframes, but I'm going to try my best anyways to make this work. So I ended up having to remake the whole animation from scratch, but it wasn't too difficult and it looks alright. So now I've just given these jump pads group 76 and I'm going to make them pulse when the particle hits them. It's kind of underwhelming. Maybe if I had a second glow on top, it could look a bit cooler. I might make this one red. Yeah, that's a lot cooler. Maybe even, I know I'm sort of doing a Rob top where I just keep adding things and then never actually finish anything, but what I think I want to do is add like an explosion particle effect. That's probably going to be super hard to pull off, but I think it could look really cool. Or actually, wait, no, never mind, better idea. I could just use one of the pre-made explosions. I really like the look of this explosion, but it is only half of a circle. So maybe if I combine the two and then make them both animate on trigger, I might be able to make a pretty cool looking explosion. So if I give those groups 77, I can use an animate trigger and make them activate when the first note of the song comes in. Don't mind the zooming in here, that's just an error with the GD editor. That didn't do anything. What's up with that? Why didn't it do anything? Oh, it's 77. Of course it didn't do anything, it's 77. I'm an idiot. Oh, that's actually pretty sick. I don't mind that. What I might just do is make it a little bit larger and also make it slower so it's more dramatic that way. Oh shit, that's awesome. Look at that, dude. I love that so much. I didn't even need to make the animation myself. Thanks for all these awesome explosions, Robtop. Yep, I'm keeping that. That is there to stay. Okay, I've really been putting off actually like decorating a normal geometry dash level rather than messing around with backgrounds and animations and crap. So I should probably start working on a block design. Right, now I'm stumped. I think the note said something about metal structures. I guess I'll make this like sort of a, I don't know, a space station or something like that. Just something sort of vaguely futuristic looking, like, I don't know, Doom 2016 type metal structures. What could be really cool is if we use these objects. So I don't think these objects get a lot of love at all in modern levels. Obviously we'd have to combine it with some actual 2.2 stuff, but I think this could be a kind of decent base maybe. So let me just go in and add these on editor layer 1 and just put a few of these down and see how it looks. Apparently these corner pieces do not align properly. That is going to be very annoying. Yeah, that's not bad. I feel like something cool could definitely be built off of that. We need a very detailed center tile, obviously, to make these blocks, like, remotely acceptable. But, I think it's a good place to start. Maybe another thing I could do is use these sort of 2.0 metal glass looking objects, and, I can make their base color like an invisible color. That way you just get the sort of interior glass panel looking bit. I did this in my part in Herculaneum, so this might actually work quite well here. I don't really want to limit myself to just using the sort of default blocks. I might just fill in the rest of it with a blank block and make some sort of custom designs that I can sprinkle all over the place. Because there needs to be something unique for it to have some appeal, right? First I need to choose the colors. I think the main color here is going to be grey, obviously, because, you know, you got the flying meteor. These will be meteors. I'll turn them into meteors at some point. The meteors, and then the sort of grey looking metal structures. Maybe I could make these blue. I feel like a light blue like this one, but maybe a bit brighter and also with blending could look pretty cool. And give it like a semi-transparent group as well. Okay, that's not too bad, but it is definitely missing something. And I think I know what that something is. You know it, you love it, it's called glow. Oh, glow, where would I be without you? Alright, that's not too bad. I don't want to add glow over everything, because the contrast between the glowy bits and the ordinary bits actually makes it look way cooler. It is missing something though, so I think what I want to do... So maybe I should just add in the base block now while I'm here. So what should this base block be? Maybe a pixel block actually, that could look pretty cool. Something simple that doesn't stand out too much. Oh, you know what could look cool if I use like a sort of winding pipe pattern? That could look sick as hell. Oh yeah, this could look really cool actually. If I just make this a bit darker and then I can add some like black glow around here to show some depth, I reckon that could look cool. It is kind of annoying that this whole object is half spaced, but oh well. Alright, so this block by itself is looking okay. It's a little bit bland, especially on the outside here. Normally what I do in this circumstance is add 3D, but I don't think 3D is really going to fit for this part. I might use it in a later part, but definitely not here. Maybe if I make the outside a blue color, then just turn down the saturation a lot, could maybe add something. Okay, I think what I'm going to do for now is just add some more little details on the inside here. So one idea I had was making like a vent of some kind. I feel like that could look pretty cool. So what I think I'll start by doing is taking this sort of cornered square here and stretching it a little bit. Maybe not that wide, maybe like 1.5. Yeah, that works. Okay, and then I make that a grey color. And then what I can do is take this piece of glow and give it a lighter grey color and, I don't know, maybe warp it like this and then stretch it across to give the illusion of like shading. And maybe what I can do is copy and paste it and flip it and then make this black and also give it a low opacity. Then what I can do is just scale down the whole thing so it doesn't look so dumb. And then just for a finishing touch, I can add some little, I don't know, screws in the corners there. Alright, we've got a cool little vent there now. Only 13 objects too. It is a little bright for the rest of the blocks though, that's my only issue. I'm just going to go through and select each object that uses color 6 and just turn down its brightness. brightness a little bit. Then I can just make sure I layer everything correctly. And there you go, got a nice little vent. Maybe I can also add just like some sort of scratching and texturing on some of these, because I don't want them to look like mint and new. So maybe I can just take this object here and I don't know, give it, so I can give it a color that copies the color of these beams here, but I can just make it a little bit darker instead. And then what I can do is take some glow and overlay it here to make it look like there's like energy ready to burst at the seams. Yeah, I think something like that could look pretty cool. And maybe what I could do is have it so that color 18 sort of pulses on and off like... Well, it appears someone is vacuuming, so I think I'm gonna have to put this recording on hold for a little bit. Alright, I'm back, and in the time I was gone I added this smoke particle here. Doesn't look too bad, I don't think. Can definitely improve on this later though. I might just add that colour change for 18 now. I feel like that could really add to the sort of aliveness of this whole part. That's kind of subtle, but I think it does something. Something else that I think I might do is just darken these a little bit, because they look kind of dumb when they're just at their full brightness like this. When you darken them, they become a little bit more subtle. And I have this actual outline up here, which will give us the sort of expected white outline that GD levels have. This might even be an opportunity for me to put some glow on the outside of these, just to match up with the shading that they have here. Actually, maybe another thing I could do is give these a blue color, now that I have this white outline up here, and just turn down the saturation quite a bit. And that's when my extended family arrived for some pre-Christmas greetings. After catching up with them, I did return to the recording, but I didn't continue with the live commentary lest I sound like a lunatic. So here I am several centuries since to give a succinct summary of the stuff I would certainly have spouted under sufficient circumstances. I'd also like to apologise for my voice. I probably sound like Zach Hadel right now because I have COVID, which is not ideal when recording post-commentary and is going to be even worse when I record the next video tomorrow. So after adjusting the movement of the stars, I added some orange glow on the right side of the blocks that pulses with the music. And this was meant to help sell the lighting change caused by the huge pulsing object I added later, but in retrospect I could really have exaggerated it more for greater effect. And then I moved on to a spike design, which took way longer than it should, and to be honest didn't even end up looking that good. So if you want to make some suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Then I added these generic 1.8 connector things and had the idea of making them flash between red and green, kind of like traffic lights. And yeah, it looked about as ridiculous as it sounds. The ground spikes are pretty simple, just some 2.0 blocks, glow particles, random little details, and some monsters just for fun. And then I got to work on some screen effects for the big dramatic pulses in the song. I ended up with a combination of radial blur and chromatic aberration, which is an effect that I severely neglected in the last episode and will definitely be adding to that first part. Thank you for the suggestions. I also made a generic arrow and some circles that show the path of the player. I want to use the area fade effect on these objects because this part is just really sparse, at least visually in terms of like 2.2 features. Then I added some huge scaled up 2.1 rocks that float and rotate as a sort of like mid-ground. I actually did this as a foreground in my level Slingus Flingus, but I think it works better as a mid-ground here since it doesn't obstruct the player's vision that much and it more just serves as extra depth. And last but not least, I used pre-existing animated objects to make a huge star in the background that pulses with the song and floods the whole screen with light. It looks really unfinished at the moment, and that's because, well, it is really unfinished, but hopefully it should at least give an idea of the effect I'm aiming for. And yeah, that's about it. Here's a showcase of my work today. Oh yeah, I also forgot to record an outro for this video. So, like, subscribe, hit the bell, share, leave a comment. What other fucking buzzwords can I throw in here? I don't know, just have a good day now. Go, leave.